For some reason we hate high mileage cars here in the UK, so don't look at 10 cars that you can buy for under £20,000 that are pretty new and have very low mileage. Let's get straight into it. The Lexus RC 300h might be the nicest car on this list, so I'm happy we get to kick the video off with it. It's effectively Lexus' competitor to the BMW 4 Series or Audi A5 as a compact luxury sports coupe, but I do think it's the best looking car of that bunch with real head turner potential. It has an interesting powertrain, a 2.5 litre inline 4 combining with an electric motor to make 219 brake horsepower, taking the car to 60 in 8.3 seconds, not particularly quick, but nice for wafting around in. Apparently RC stands for Radical Coupe, and it takes much of its basis from other Lexuses. It's got the IS's platform, the front end from the GS, and the midsection from the IS convertible, so you could call it a bit of a Frankenstein's monster car despite those lovely looks. They'll run you around our 20k limit now though for a low mileage model, and you'll be looking at a 2016 model with 19,000 miles on the clock for that kind of money. It's also known to be very reliable with a strong hybrid system too. Some murmurings on forums have appeared around fuel pumps causing the engine to stall, but that was a recalled issue, and some minor electrical issues too. I am of course a big Mazda MX-5 fan given I own the first generation, and for sub 20k you'll very easily get yourself into the most recent generation in arguably the coolest spec, the RF. Instead of the standard roadster styling, you've got a more Targa style hardtop convertible roof which looks super aggressive with the more angular aesthetics. It got a couple of engine options including a 2 litre inline 4 that makes 157 brake horsepower, taking the car to 60 in 7.2 seconds, and of course as you probably should know by now, straight line speed isn't where this car shines. It's the corners. The MX-5 is just so beautifully balanced, which is why every generation has had its own race series. Even though the standard roadster is the preferred race car from the ND generation, the RF is probably the better looking and more useful one for our market and climate. £15,000 will get you into a lower mileage example, and 20k is enough for a 2020 model with 19,000 miles on the clock. The MX-5 is also known to be pretty reliable, and forums only really note battery drain issues and minor issues with the roof mechanism. When the Mazda was being designed, it was actually a collaboration between Mazda and Fiat, with the Abarth 124 Spider being the performance Fiat equivalent. Same platform, all sorted by Mazda, just with lovely Italian stylings and a turbocharged powertrain too. Some reviews have genuinely named the Abarth the greatest MX-5 ever. That engine is a 1.4 litre turbocharged inline 4 that makes 167 brake horsepower, taking the car to 60 in 6.4 seconds, so just a bit quicker than the MX-5. It was originally going to be an Alfa Romeo until it was decided that Fiat would be the brand for it instead, when FCA said Alfa should only be manufactured in Italy. And as a package it is pretty stunning. Great exterior looks and a lovely sporty interior with the Alcantara Recaro seats. 16 grand will get you one with under 30,000 miles, and 20k gets you a 2017 model with 22,000 miles on it. Like the MX-5, it's broadly been quite reliable so far, though forums do mention electrical issues and some rare gearbox downshift problems as well, plus in the worst cases fuel pump failures. The Skoda Octavia VRS is probably the thinking person's choice from this list as the most practical car with the most well thought out features to support comfortable ownership, especially if you go for the estate. That's not to say it isn't a super cool car though, with great looks both outside and in, and some decent performance too. That's thanks to that 2 litre turbocharged inline 4 engine to make 241 brake horsepower, taking the car to 60 in 6.4 seconds, not bad for a Skoda. This is the third generation Octavia, and it's basically the Golf GTI formula in a Skoda package. It was originally released at the Goodwood Festival of Speed, showing its motivation, and it was actually the fastest production Octavia on release. Add on the nice panoramic roof which was available as an option, and you have something fast and premium feeling for a Skoda. If you want a low mileage one, you need to spend around £15,000, and 20k will get you a 2019 example with 25,000 miles on the clock. The DSG is known to judder or make noises when it's going wrong, and there are some known sensor failures and the likes as well. High pressure fuel pump issues are also known on them. We've got a few hot hatches on this list, the slowest of which is this, the mini hatch John Cooper Works. I had the chance to drive the Cooper S version of this F56 with some JCW performance parts on it, and it's a great looking, great driving car with those typical go-karty handling dynamics we've come to expect from these minis. They also get a 2 litre turbocharged inline 4 engine to make 227 brake horsepower, taking the car to 60 in 5.9 seconds, which means you could argue this is a bit of a warm hatch by modern standards. The only thing I personally found let the car down a touch was the interior quality. It was fine, but that's about as much as I can offer. It looks better than it feels in there for sure. To get one that's done less than 30k miles, you need to spend around £15,000, and a 2019 example 122,000 miles on the clock will cost you around 20k. Forums have noted oil filter housing leaks and issues with fuel injectors and clutches. The turbo oil feed pipe has also had issues on them, but in general reliability is considered to be quite good on these. Now I realised the other day that my four cars have a total mileage of over 410,000 miles. That is insane. And yet all of them to some degree are going pretty strong. So to the view of this video, I would urge you to not overlook a car because of the mileage. Think about service history and all that kind of stuff instead. Because even though all 10 of these cars can be had with under 30,000 miles for under 20k, they can be had a lot cheaper if you're willing to go for more miles and save yourself some more cash. And while you're here, do hit subscribe for 2 videos every week just like this. On to another hot hatch now, the Renault Megane RS 280. And even though this list literally has an MX-5 on it, this might genuinely be the car I'd choose if I wanted something I could take on track days while also being useful for practical day-to-day use. They come with a 1.8 litre turbocharged inline-4 engine making 276 brake horsepower, taking the car to 60 in 5.6 seconds, and of course the 280 PS number is where this car gets its name. This is actually the 4th gen Megane but the 3rd gen RS, and it very quickly became quite a popular hot hatch, even in this entry-level spec, that still got torque vectoring and passive double damping suspension, all for that handling. A lower mileage model will cost you around £19,000 at the bottom end, and 20k gets you into a 2019 example that's done around 17,000 miles. A faulty oil pressure solenoid is known on these, which was recalled in 2018 to 2019, and the dual mass flywheel has also had problems on higher mileage models. The fuel pump can also be problematic. The Maserati Ghibli probably has the most exotic badge on this list, and in true Maserati fashion, it's depreciated an absolute ton since its release, even the lowest mileage examples. And what's particularly crazy about that is the fact they got a Ferrari-derived engine, a 3-litre twin turbocharged V6 block, makes 325 brake horsepower, taking the car to 60 in 5.4 seconds, so it's a pretty cheap Ferrari engine. This car was built alongside the slightly larger Quattroporte and quickly gained popularity, which is partly why they're so cheap. Maserati of course mass-produced a life out of them, with the 100,000th model leaving the factory in 2019. The interiors do look good, and outside of that, it's a car that can turn heads, especially in the right spec. £16,000 will get you into a low mileage model, and our 20k limit is now for a 2017 model that's done around 28,000 miles. Electrical problems seem to be the most common when you look on forums, as well as issues with the cooling system. Outside of that, owners seem to complain about build quality on the interior. Another hot hatch now, the 3rd generation Audi S3, which is probably the best value for money, low mileage performance Audi you can get into within our price range, especially because it will be cheaper to run than the other similarly available cars like the S4 and S5. These come with a pretty staple hot hatch engine, a 2-litre turbocharged inline-4 that makes 295 brake horsepower, taking the car to 60 in 5 seconds, so it basically matches the Mark 7 Golf R. It comes with a 3-door hatch, 5-door hatch, 4-door saloon and 2-door convertible, so there's plenty of choice depending on what you fancy. You'll likely only be getting a hatch within our price range though. And if you can find a 2016 one too, you'll benefit from the facelift that made everything a little bit more angular, which helps the car to feel a bit more modern. Lower mileage examples start at around £17,000, and 20k is enough for a 2016 model that's done around 16,000 miles. Misfires, DSG issues, carbon buildup on intake valves and issues with the turbos are all known on these, but all very typical VW Group problems on higher mileage models. The BMW M235i is the least available car on this list within our price range, but not because they're too expensive. There just doesn't seem to be that many that haven't done more than 30,000 miles. Clearly owners of this car love to drive them, and as the baby brother to the M2 with some M performance parts on it, it can be seriously good looking and seriously quick as a bit of kit. That performance comes from the car's 3-litre turbocharged inline-6 that makes 321 brake horsepower, taking the car to 60 in 4.6 seconds, which really isn't far off the M2, which can do it in around 4.2 seconds. This car comes in at our 20k limit for a low mileage model, and you'll be looking at a 2016 model that's done 19,000 miles for that kind of money. To the point I raised previously though, higher mileage models will go for under 10k. These have generally been pretty decent on reliability minus premature water pump failures on earlier models, and in the worst cases, cracked stock charge pipes which have required upgrades to stronger examples. Vanos has also had problems in true BMW fashion. Taking the top spot by being ever so slightly quicker than the BMW is the Mercedes A45 AMG, a car I had the chance to drive thanks to my good friends at Motorland last year, and the car that initially made automotive journalists question if hyperhatches walked among us. I'll be honest, I did enjoy driving the A45 and it was quick, but I didn't find it particularly hyper, and there was one key factor that let it down: the interior quality, which is way off what I would have expected for an AMG, a sentiment that owners and forums seem to genuinely agree with. That being said, this has probably enabled the car to drop so much in price, given you can get low mileage examples starting around 19k now, with 20k getting you a 2016 model with 18,000 miles on the clock. That kind of money will now be a 2-litre turbocharged inline-4 engine that makes 354 brake horsepower, taking the car to 60 in 4.4 1.5 seconds, so the quickest and most powerful car on this list. Turbo issues, engine oil leaks, and gearbox issues are the main topics you'll spot on forums, and some examples have suffered serious power loss too, resulting from the turbo. That was 10 cars for under 20k with low mileage. Do hit like if you enjoyed this video. Thanks to patrons, you guys are well for watching. Click on screen to see my quite harsh review of that A45 AMG.